If you love the thrill of racing but hate the risks, then buckle up. Everything Simulated is here to merge adrenaline with absolute safety. In a world where technology meets adrenaline, Everything Simulated is revolutionizing driver training with state-of-the-art simulators. From truck training to the thrill of motorsports, our simulators offer the most realistic experiences across all automotive applications. Gone are the days of endless bookwork and basic drills. Now it's all about hands-on, pulse-pounding action that prepares you for the real deal. Whether you're maneuvering a heavy mining vehicle or racing a high-speed car, our simulators, equipped with cutting-edge technology from leaders like Sebring and TrackRacer, bring every nuance of the drive to life. And talk about making a mark. We're not just building simulators, we're fostering talent. From grassroots motorsports to professional series like the Aussie Outlaw GT3, sponsored by us, Everything Simulated is fueling dreams and careers. Ready to feel the excitement of the racetrack under your fingertips? Connect with us, and let's build your next simulator adventure together. Remember, we support those who support us. Join the Everything Simulated family, and let's race towards the future.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to a new season in the Player1 Sim Gear Super Formula Lights Championship, supported by Everything Simulated. We've come to the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez in Mexico, racing's newest circuit, to kick off our newest season. 60 minutes, which bookends this season of endurance racing. First at Mexico and also at the Bend on the 25th of November when it all draws to a close. We'll be with you throughout the season, of course, through the many different formats, through the 8 weeks until the end of November, to see who can become the fourth and final champion of 2025 on the back of Mark Hilly's successes in Season 3. It's myself, Ian O'Leary, and Rhys Gardner with you tonight, with George Cook behind the cameras. Big thanks to everyone for tuning in tonight. We're very excited to bring you a new season in this championship. But good evening, Rhys. It's a new season and a new circuit, completely new. Not sure what to expect, to be honest, from these lower-powered machines at a circuit where I've only seen the high-powered machines of motorsport race around. It's a completely different ballgame here today with the Super Formula Lights.
Yeah, it certainly is. You talk about low power. The power is going to be even lower because the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez is quite high above sea level. That means the air is thinner, and so the cars don't quite reach the speeds that you'd expect. What it also means, though, is that drivers can run a lot more higher downforce settings on their wings and get away with it. So should be some good racing for sure. It's a fantastic track, lots of heavy braking zones, a challenging series of S's in the middle of the lap, and going through the Foro Sol baseball stadium to end off the lap. It's a spectacular venue, should be some spectacular racing. The drivers are just going out for their 15 minutes of qualifying now.
They are indeed, and that will be an ordeal in itself, I suppose, over the course of 15 minutes. We'll see how much working together there is at the beginning of this season. Just a couple of talking points for you before the season gets underway. They're only on outlaps at the moment, you're not missing anything. 50 drivers registered for Season 4. It's the first time we've ever sold out the spaces 1 week prior to the start of the season. So a big congrats to Tom and everyone who's, of course, part of running FDL once again this season, for its increasing success, actually, not just continues, but increasing success over the course of 2025. Much like last season, the top 13 will qualify for the Australian Open Wheel Nationals again. that race, of course, in the off-season, in case you didn't watch it, was won by Mark Hilly. The FDL league winning winning the race. Didn't accumulate the most points of the 3 leagues, but did win the race. So congrats to Mark Hilly for that. He's certainly having a good second half of 2025. And this is an enduro round. 2 stops for this round. We have had one of these before at Silverstone to end off the season last time out. There's not too much doubt around the actual champion in the end, to be honest. Mark Hilly was, I don't say comfortably, but relatively comfortably at the front and winning the race. He would extend that advantage over Jackson Rihanna, who would end up second last season. These will be the only format, though, where it's guaranteed there will be 2 stops. The feature races throughout the season will be a mix of 1 or 2 stops. At Donnington Park, Aragon and Sebring will be our feature race venues. Our sprint race venues, Magny-Cours, Montreal and Snetterton, those sprint rounds taking on the same format as what they did last time. So 3 different race lengths for us over the course of the 8 races. 3 features, 3 sprints, 2 enduros as well. It's not quite multi-discipline race, but it's certainly multi-length in terms of the race distances, and they come with their different sort of quirks as well. Each night, effectively, which not only it's different circuit, which is going to keep these drivers on their toes anyway throughout the season.
Yeah, certainly will. There's a lot of varying skill sets that are required for all of these races. These endurance format races, like round 1 here, they're going to result in a bit more fuel strategy, I would imagine. And we can't forget about the possibility of a safety car as well. Tom Donahue has provided us with information that indicates if a safety car comes out, depending on when it comes out, of course, drivers may be able to stop this race, but they'd have to extend their first stint to lap 14 or 15 to make it a bit more achievable. So there's one aspect of the endurance format, and when it comes to the sprint format, you're just going for hard racing, really. It tests your overtaking nous, so to speak. And coming to tracks like Magny-Cours and Snetterton, I would imagine that they'd be a bit harder to overtake at than tracks like this one that have super long straights going into very tight corners.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine the Super Formula Lights finding it hard to overtake anywhere, but if it is going to be anywhere, then it will be those. Maybe I'd throw Aragon in there as well, maybe. Yeah. But maybe Donnington, I don't know. But, I can't remember a track where I thought, well, this is a bit dull when you're watching these. So hopefully we'll be fine, and I'm sure we will be. It's going to be a great season. Up to the top immediately for Craig Edwards, who has set the best time so far. 35.1 is the current best. Tom Donahue's leading them around, though. We're following him into the final stadium section. I didn't realise it was a baseball ground, I must admit, but there you go. Makes sense, now you say it. Out through the final corner and under the bridge, exiting the stadium and onto the front straight again. The mammoth front straight it is. And Donahue surely is going to go to the top with a second lap time, and indeed does. Puts the time up to be beaten, I would imagine, by the rest. And Danny Davison might well just do exactly that, and does as well. So 81 thousandths of a second. The times are going to come across the line very shortly, and they are going to be in and around Donahue's time, I would imagine. Was that Edwards going for that spin there, or somebody else? I think somebody else, as they came out of turn 11 there, and the middle sector, I suppose, which is so unique compared to the long reaches of the straights of the rest of this layout.
Yeah, for sure. It's I've driven a few laps around this place, largely during week 13 when I was testing out the new GT3 cars and GT4 tire model, and let me tell you, it is incredibly difficult to get right. The corners come thick and fast, and you make one mistake on the way into that complex and your flow through the entire sector is affected. It's very easy to turn in a little bit too harshly, scrub the front tires and understeer off through the middle sector. Looks like some trouble for people down at the hairpin as well, all things considered. So this track may look simple enough from the air, but has a lot of foibles and pitfalls that you'll have to negotiate.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a bit of a retro livery for you there. I can't remember what the team there was called. The
BMW Williams.
Yeah, there we
That's
go.
it.
Nice throwback from Jackie Chung, one of the earlier, one of the silver drivers this season. Another spinner through the middle sector for somebody else. That's turn 10 though, a little bit earlier than the final corner, exiting onto this little straight on the way down towards turn 12. Decent overtaking chance actually down there at the right-hander before you get to this slower speed hairpin here. Up to the top meantime for Sebastian Eskandari, who is fastest at the moment. Was in our F4 championship before, by the way. I don't think has done any Super Formula racing in this series in the past, but I could be wrong. It's gone to the top so far with a 34.3, but the thing is, Eskandari is on Team Max Boost to really making a showing of themselves in the Super Formula Lights this season. And if you're with them for the F4 Championship last season, you'll know that Team Max Boost did work together very well in qualifying and indeed the races as well. I just wonder what an advantage that could be for them, because most of the driving we've seen so far in FDL, it's been rather lone wolves against one another and not too much team interference, although a little bit here and there. Max Boost certainly take that to a different level, and I do wonder how that's going to affect things, especially kicking off here, perhaps the circuit where that would make most difference of all of them on the calendar.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's multiple aspects to consider there. I mean, you talk about Max Boost playing the team game, and my experience with FDL so far has been limited to the Formula Ford recruitment series that they just ran. Eskandari winning the last round of that by a country mile, and it was easy enough for Max Boost to play team games in cars that don't have wings and rely more on mechanical grip than anything else. These things have wings and slicks, and so it's a lot more difficult to follow through fast corners. I got to wonder how that's going to play into Max Boost's potential team games there. Well, Eskandari topped practice, and this lap is not going to count for him. I did see him run off track a few times. You'll notice as well around this circuit, on the exits of some corners, there is a blue line behind the white line at some of the curbs, and that's something that Formula 1 started using in the last season or two, to really police track limits. That was quite the smash there. Just one of many possible incidents through these S's, but you put a tyre beyond that blue line and your lap will be invalidated. The drivers will have to be careful of that.
Wait, when you say blue, do you mean green? Or
they look blue to me. They look blue to me. We'll have to wait for a potential corner to check that out. If we can stay with this car, it's at the exit of the first few turns where you can really see them. We will confirm this for everyone out there down the long front straight. When you reach the highest speeds on this circuit, it's 2,240 meters above sea level, this track, so the air is quite thin. Now, through turn 2, saw the line on the inside, and then out through turn 3, right there. Yep, blue line behind the white line.
Got it. I thought you meant the bit on the other side of the curb, not the.
Oh yeah, no.
Not the blue line. Sorry, yeah. You're okay. You are right. That is blue. I was getting a bit worried there. We're going to just be, completely say what colour is this car then? Anyway, we could go for hours, but yes, okay, I see what you mean now. It's not a bad idea actually, because it seems that the white line has become completely obsolete in recent times. And track limits. It's good that there's just, instead of having not the white line but just sort of no rules, as it seems to be sometimes, at least there is a rule, even if it is a bit different to what you might expect. But certainly one of those things you've got to think about and place around this circuit, because as you can see here, there's so much tarmac runoff around the place. I'm sure we'll see it used, and we already have in this qualifying session. I'm sure we'll see it used again and again throughout the race, maybe through here. That's a bit wide from John, who's going to have to set himself up for another lap now. Less than 4 minutes to go in this qualifying session now. And Eskandari is leading by 3.5 tenths of a second, much like he did in that Formula Ford recruitment series race. He's leading this by a mile.
Yeah, he certainly is, and I think it would have been assisted by Slipstream, but his time in practice was a 134.045, so there is more time in these laps, and the track temperature isn't that high either. It's only 29 Celsius, which is right in the ballpark for optimum grip. Well, Craig Edwards topped the session pretty early. Let's see if he has any more to give from this as he enters the Foro Sol, and this is the trickiest sequence of corners on the lap for my money. It's so difficult to get the power down over those really high curbs without breaking traction, and then you got to nail the throttle through the Peraltada, the final corner. Kane Ryder makes an improvement to second, and Edwards will cross the line looks like that might be either an invalidated lap or an out lap for Mr. Edwards there, so no response just yet, but it seems that Eskandari has company there, his Max Boost teammate Kane Ryder occupying second place.
So Max Boost coming with plenty, and we'll see where they can get to, whether Kane Ryder will be the height of their qualifying session, as Mark Hilly, reigning champion and Australian Open Wheel Nationals race winner at Bathurst a few weeks ago, comes over the line at the moment, and that seems to be an improvement, but he's not actually gained any places. Seventh still at the moment, just over 7 tenths behind. Tom Donahue moves up meantime, up into second. Tom's having a very good, he topped practice as well, did Tom, so I wonder whether he's picked this season's calendar based on circuits he's good at, because or whether he's just good at this one, because that's a very good start for league owner and organiser Tom Donahue. Only a tenth and a bit behind Sebastian Eskandari at the moment, as you see through turn 11 and another one going for a spin there. This is looking very, very tricky. I mean, it's not the warmest track temperature. It can get very hot here, but not today. And the middle sector just seems very, very ungrippy, really. And there's people going off all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, in my laps around this track, I found that the less I pushed through those S's, the better my lap time was. The more gains you can make by just giving up some time on the entry to some of those corners and allowing you to get on the power a tiny bit earlier. Of course, some drivers might still be struggling with some car balance issues. Kane Ryder will surely demonstrate it for us very shortly. Through turns 1, 2, and 3, you can go all the way over the curb there, but you can't catch that anti-cut bump, otherwise you will get sent around in exactly that fashion.
And that will probably be the end, well, it will be the end of the qualifying session for Kane Ryder. Here comes Tom Donahue to the line. Now, has he got enough here to actually overtake Eskandari with a late lap time here? It would be impressive if he does. And it does not. Still not coming through. I think it's not, and he's going to go on again, but he's twice as close as anybody else to Eskandari than Kane Ryder, for example, who's in third, and Dylan Little, who's in fourth place. Currently 41 in the session, by the way, and they've all set lap times. Unless we've changed the point system, which I don't believe we have, means that some people are going to legitimately drive tonight and not score any points, which hasn't happened very often in the past, but such is the success of this series, and indeed the amount of drivers who now partake in it, we are going to see drivers miss out completely on the points, as Eskandari now comes out of the final corner and comes up to the line, but it's irrelevant. He looks like he's going to take pole. Only Tom Donahue remaining, really, realistically, to take that away from him, I think.
Yeah, and Donahue crossed the line with about 30 seconds on the clock. This being a single race server, you will be able to finish a lap as long as you start it before the session clock ticks over. So let's see what he can do, making his way through the final sector then, slowing all the way down for this very tricky section indeed. No downforce working on the wings there. It's all down to mechanical grip. Power out through Peraltada, and we'll see if he gets those couple of tenths he needs to grab pole. He does make a slight improvement, only by a few thousandths of a second. It's not enough to unseat Eskandari.
Yeah, 0.005 of a second he improves by, but nowhere near enough. Oh, wow, Danny Davison, where's that come from?
What?
A 34.2, and he's not even round anybody. He's completely on his own. He's pulled that out of the bag, laced on, ninth lap of the session. Thanks very much for coming. And he's taken the pole position, it looks like, for the opening round of the season.
That's crazy. Danny Davison catching us all by surprise there, and that was right at the death knell of the qualifying session. What a lap, and he'll be granted with a clear view into turn one when we get this race started.
Oh, goodness me. That was an extraordinary end to the session, and it's going to be Danny Davison who takes pole position. Davison, who so nearly won our first season in 2025. Don't forget, he came into the final race at Zandvoort, which was a 45-minute race back then, as they all were back that season. He came in with a bit of a championship lead, ended up without the championship lead, and he will look to avenge that later on in the year with a potential season victory. Eskandari, I thought, was done for the session actually, but he still went on. He didn't improve though, and he stays in second place. He'll be disappointed to have led the whole session and not take pole, I think, but my goodness, that was a good lap from Danny Davison, who will be on the pole. Let's have a look at the starting grid, ready for the first round here from Mexico. It is Davison and Eskandari on the front row, ahead of Tom Donoghue and Kane Ryder, who share row 2. Dylan Little and Mark Hilly are then on row 3, with Craig Edwards, Hayden Coote on 4. Doug Gowans and Oisin Colangelo of the F4 series last season rounds out the top 10. Brody McConkie is 11th, ahead of Madeline McGee. Alexi Watson's going to be the first silver class driver, I think, in 13th place. Mitchell Campbell is 14th, with Jackie Chung and Juliana Snezey rounding up row 8. Ryan Borg and Scott Barchine, champion of season 2, will start 18th, ahead of Dylan DeBono and Angus Milne, rounding out the top 20. Thomas Hinds also actually finished 4th place in both the F4 and Super Formula Championships last season. Starts 21st tonight with Vaughan Ryder alongside. Jackson Mariana, he of runner-up last season, is 23rd, ahead of Tristan McLaren, who has been up there in the Challenger class, as it used to be called. He's 24th now, gold driver. Mitchell Albert and Jan Ackland are on row 13, and Anthony Bate and Alex Stevens. Migo Costa Texera is ahead of Todd Parks to round out the top 30. 31st, Daniel Byrne, Jay Dixon alongside with Jake Robillard and Matt Tesorero, who is rounding out the top 34. Chris Swadling and Matthew Vince, row 18, and David Gallo and Ash Williams. Chris Little and Nathan Verney rounding out the top 40 before Dennis Hawkins making his debut, I think, rounding out the field in 41st at the back end of the field. A very, very big field as well, it is. And it's a very long run down towards turn 1 and a big stop and a sharp corner. It's not got the recipe of a clean start written all over it, I must admit, but it is the start of this season. So let's hope they all get through it cleanly.
Yeah, fortunately, there's quite a bit of runoff area out of turn 1. A reminder of the schedule. We'll be going to Magny-Cours next week, then Donnington, Montreal, Aragon, Snetterton, Sebring, and The Bend, finishing off the season in late November. It's a lovely schedule. We've got plenty of great tracks that suit these cars very well. And looking forward to getting the green flag dropping. You mentioned the long run into turn 1, Ewan. I think if the drivers haven't practiced their starts in these Super Formula Lights, they will suffer, because it is a long, long way to go with less momentum than everyone around you. I'm sure there's going to be at least one driver who drops down the order by the time we get to that first braking zone.
Well, at the moment, encompassed by 2 large grandstands either side, and they are on the circuit. The 41 drivers all ready to go for the start of a new season. It's season 4 of 2025 in the Player1 Sim Gear Super Formula Lights Championship, supported by Everything Simulated. We're ready to go from the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, and we are underway. Danny Davison getting off to the best launch, and Eskandari will just immediately try and tuck in behind him. Who's going to win that race down in towards turn number 1? It's Donoghue who makes is the best start, by the way. And he'll be coming through shortly in a moment as he tries to steam through the middle here. He's going to box in Eskandari if he's not careful. They're going to be 3 wide as they all look for the inside. Eskandari defends his position, and he's also going for the lead. Inside line, he's got the lead ahead of Danny Davison. And then Mark Hilly, who gets up to 3rd place. It's Donahue going backwards through the opening sector, and Little and Ryder also going very slowly as they battle side by side. It looks like Ryan Borg has maybe come unstuck through the first chicane. We've also got a couple of others running and indeed falling down the field backwards, but it's Eskandari who takes the lead of this race off of the start, away from pole sitter Danny Davison.
Yeah, you might have seen the smoke in the background there. There's been a massive pile-up with multiple cars involved. I am losing count of the amount of drivers that have been affected by that. The safety car has been called by race control as a result, so that means we'll get a brief break in the action and the opportunity to dissect exactly what happened.
We'll have a couple of replays in a moment for you. Out of turn number 3 was, oh dear, well, hard to see where it's all started, but that was a complete track block from well, Scott Bartini is one of them. I think Ryan Borg, as I said, was in there as well, but there's plenty of others as well. I'm trying to see if we can go a bit back a bit further and really figure out what happened, but Bartini never got back going again. Yeah, that's the sort of the look of Mr. McLaren, who was not really involved in the beginning of that, but couldn't and equally couldn't do much about being involved in it either, and I'm sure there'll be many the same.
Yeah, I've just gone back to check what triggered the incident. It looks like Mitchell Campbell made a bit of contact with Ryan Borg, and then that sent a couple of drivers going wide. Avoiding action was taken by Scott Bartine, and he then went into Thomas Hinz, and Hinz went airborne. From that point on, there was nothing Hinz could do. He was a passenger, and that's what triggered the pile-up. Here's Ryan Borg getting that spin. That sends the other cars out into Thomas Hinz, who you probably just saw a single frame of in front of the camera. Hinz came to a stop just ahead there, and from that point on, the track was blocked. There was nothing any of the drivers could do from behind to avoid that. But yeah, I think just growing pains for the start of the new season there. Few drivers will be undoubtedly unhappy from that. It's taken a few out of the race in the short term, but we still have plenty more of this to go.
Just say virtual safety car up at the top, and we did come to an immediate stop with the virtual safety car, but we have got the real safety car as well out there on the circuit at the moment. So make of that what you will. Out front at the moment, ahead of Eskandari. Into the pit lane for Tom Donahue and Doug Gowans from the front of the field. Jackson Rihanna also comes in. Angus Mill, David Gallo, Anthony Bate, Tristan McLaren, although anybody below him as well would have come in with damage. Tristan McLaren, though, the first of those to come in, but the ones I read out before that, all tactical, and the virtual safety car going to end this lap, so it's not going to be a long stoppage here, and that won't be good news for the likes of Alex Stevens and Scott Bartini, who had to tow back to pit lane. They will be at least a lap down.
Yeah, they will. That's a big blow for them right at the start of the new season. Couldn't even get to turn 4 on the first lap before something horrific happened to them. But an interesting call from Donahue, from Gowans, from Rihanna, and from Angus Milne as well to come in presumably to top up the tank and allow them to extend this first stint a little further. Unclear whether or not that will eliminate a stop from their race to come. I think it's still too early for it to be one stop to go from here, but regardless, worth keeping in mind when they come into the pits next, their stop times will be shorter than everyone around them. That will give them a little bit more in terms of track position in the short term. Well, the safety cars come into the pits. Now the field falls under the control of Sebastian Eskandari again, and out of the final corner he'll put the hammer down and we can get back to green flag racing.
He's just going to go simply out of the final corner. Despite the fact it's the most obvious place in the world, he still kept Danny Davison completely unawares there. We go back to green flag racing with a 0.6 of a second gap. It should be an opportunity for the guy in second place to try and take the lead, but Davison was completely sleeping there, and Mark Healy's more likely to overtake him now on the way towards turn number 1. Kay Ryder defending from Dylan Little behind, and Healy's going to wait for now, but that feels like a real opportunity missed for Davison.
Yeah, it certainly does. I would have thought that he would stick with Eskandari, but I suppose you can never leave too much on the table. Let's see then if Davison will be able to find his way through into the lead some other place then. He is the man who started on pole position, so he should be the fastest around a single lap around here, but Sebastian Eskandari is certainly familiar with staying in the lead once he's gotten it. Back to 6th place, Craig Edwards is battling with Dylan Little for that last position in the top 5, and a little bit of moving around further back, side by side. It looks like Brodie McConkey and Aidan Coote trading spots there, and Alexei Watson falling behind Giuliano Sinisi as well. Oh dear.
De Bono went for a spin there in the midfield, right through the middle sector, through turns, it might have been 8, I think. Hopefully he didn't, and it doesn't seem that he was on the circuit for everybody to collect him, but he definitely went for a speed just on that curve there through turn 8. He just spin to the outside of the circuit, thankfully, and he avoids the wall. Does a good job actually to avoid the wall completely, but that's the AstroTurf and the curb on the inside at turn 8. It won't be the last spin we see through the middle sector.
No, certainly not. We saw enough of them in qualifying. Well, first full racing lap is complete, and Eskandari has extended his lead to about 0.8 there versus Danny Davison, who's now under pressure from Mark Healy. Going to go for second into the first corner. He was passed before they even got to the braking zone, and interestingly, Davison lifting out of the throttle quite early there. Probably a bit of a strategic move to try and stick in the slipstream of Healy. Maybe that'll help him get a bit forward to Eskandari, but that brings Kane Ryder into the equation as well, having a little look at the braking zone, but I think Kane's going to take his time with that.
First of the Team Max Boost drivers, of course, and speaking of Team Max Boost, one of their another virtual safety car is deployed. Try and see who is stopped out there on the racetrack at the moment. I don't see anybody who is stationary as it stands.
I do. Jake Robillard. Okay. He's upside down in the stadium.
That would do it, yeah. Where is he then?
Right on the apex as well.
39th. Oh, hello. Oh, he's right on the racing line. Dear, oh dear. Well, second safety car of the season, and we're only less than 10 minutes in. Oh, it's just an awkward bit of contact, isn't it? You try and do that a million times, you won't manage it, but you've perfectly managed to put him on the racing line upside down, and so that's an obvious virtual safety car for that one.
Yeah, and I don't think he has any choice but to tow back to the pits from that. There's no way you can recover the car if none of the wheels are touching the ground, so not ideal. And there's the front of the field about to come through. Hopefully they grant him permission to tow soon, otherwise everyone's going to have to work their way around him.
Yes. Of course, they don't do it immediately. Otherwise there's sort of no penalty really for towing. And they are going to have to work their way around him. But they probably were all notified by race control actually over the radio to say there is a car upside down in the middle of the road, so do be careful. And that's what they have done. Now we've got stops at the front. Healy and Davison both into the pit lane. Eskandari carries on. So how many more are going to continue on here? Healy and Davison, the only two, though, for the moment, who have decided to come into the pit lane. This will really open up their strategy, by the way, for the day. But it will not give them any good track position because nobody else is coming in. Finally, further down, we're seeing some more stops from the likes of Ackland, Verney, Little, Swaddling. Tristan McLaren's in, although he was in before, wasn't he? He's in again. So they're going to drop a long way down here, are Healy and Davison. But how far down is the question now? Well, I'll have to try and tell you. Where are they? 21st and 19th. Davison 19th after that. So not the first of those to have stopped. And right back in the pack. That is an interesting call.
Yeah, it certainly is. When we get back to green flag racing, he's going to have his eyes on stalks. He's going to potentially lose time navigating everyone around him who has yet to stop. Although the other side of that coin is by putting more fuel in the car, you have a heavier car than everyone around you who hasn't pitted. So a little bit of equalization of pace, I would say, from that. But the safety car should be ending shortly, if not within a couple of laps. What that pit run has done is it's brought Kane Ryder up to his teammate Eskandari at the front. So it is a team max boost 1-2 at present, with Dylan Little occupying third place. I gotta wonder how long these guys are going to stretch it here. There is an opportunity here for it to be a one-stop for those who haven't pitted yet. Remember what we said earlier on. The fact that if you have a safety car of 3 laps and you're able to extend your fuel tank to about lap 14 or lap 15, you might be able to make it home on a single stop. That's probably what these front runners are banking on.
Yeah, I think the problem for them, although I think it is solved with a second safety car, is that the distinction made on whether you can make it with a one-stop was, you know, if there's 3 laps under safety car, and now there has been, but the first one was so short that I'm not sure they would have saved very much fuel from that, but they certainly will have done now. And that's why I'm a little bit surprised that Healy and Davison decided to come in when they did. I mean, they're even further back now. I think there's some jiggling of the order going on down there in 23rd and 24th, and we're not going to go green this time round. There they are, nose to tail. 23rd, 24th, as I say, and further down even than where they were earlier. Just while we're under safety car, I'll go through some of the penalties that have come through so far. Don't think we're seeing them on our screens at the moment, but that might be intentional. We can see them on our spreadsheet, so or on the race control spreadsheet, which we've been given access to for the first time. So thanks to them for this. And the first penalised driver this season, unfortunately, is Oisin Colangelo of the F4 Championship. Finished in second place last season. She's now in the Super Formula Lights as well with the Team Max Boost outfit. Unfortunately, though, a 10-second time penalty for moderate qualifying impeding on Alex Stevens. And that is a 10-second time penalty. So hopefully, well, sure we're hoping anyway, there's some long green flag runs to come, and the 10 seconds can start to get stretched out quite a lot, because if she gets penalised from there, then you'll go a long way down the field if you are penalised, as the lap cars are a wave through here, by the way. Speaking of, Alex Stevens goes past with Scott Bartine as well, back onto the lead lap again, and they will try and catch the back of the field before we go back green flag racing. No further action on Ryan Borg, protested by Craig Edwards in qualifying as well. The lap 1 incident still being looked at, and it might have even come through yet. Has it? No, I don't think so. So still waiting to see what goes on there, but unsurprising, race control having to take their time over the lap 1 incident and the outcome of it as well.
And I think a wrinkle to that is, like, when we were reviewing that lap 1 incident on the replays, it didn't necessarily look like anyone did anything wrong. It was just your usual lap 1 going through the first couple of corners, bit of contact here and there. It just ballooned out into something crazy. So it's difficult for race control to assign blame in a multi-car incident like that unless it's really obvious that someone's done something to cause it.
Well, virtual safety car, as you saw there, will be coming in at the end of this lap, and so Sebastian Eskandari will have to or will be able to bring them back to the green in a moment. The top 13 still have yet to pit, by the way. Tom Donahue, the first of them to not have pitted just yet. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Tom Donahue is the first to have pitted, I should say. He's in 14th at the moment, and you'd imagine we'll be gaining places as we get going again. See them scattered through the field there. Some no stops even further towards the back. Seems like a no-brainer if you are at the back to come in, but not for everybody, clearly. Eskandari then is going to be in control of the field this time. We'll see whether Kane Ryder's a little bit more attentive than Danny Davison was, because Davison completely let Eskandari get away with it out of the final corner, and Kane Ryder will aim not to do the same here as he comes now into the final section. It's not saying very close, Kane Ryder. And now he will close up a little bit. Changed, I suppose, by the fact they are teammates. But anyway, out of the final corner for Eskandari. And goes in exactly the same place as before. If he has to do another restart, then they'll start to get onto him, I think. But it's green flag racing again. And Kane Ryder right in behind him with Little and then Edwards at 1, 2, 3 and 4. Little is right in the slipstream here and surely going to be having a look at going through and trying to break up the max boost 1-2 because it could be a problem for the rest of the field if it remains like this, and it will remain like that. Eskandari and Ryder 1 and 2 in the and that's Julian Stanesi in the background. Spin at 2 and 1 for him, and he'll drop all the way at the back.
Yeah, he certainly will, and it looks like that was an incident that he did all by himself. He was too deep on the brakes into turn 1 and lost the rear end, so solo error for him. Meanwhile, Dylan Little all over the back of Kane Ryder through that incredibly tricky, slow chicane. I mean, you're always caught out by just how tight those two corners are. They require all of the steering lock, and you need to widen the entry to the corner as much as you can. Then it's through the S's once more. This is where aero instability starts to become a factor. All that air in front of you disturbed by the cars ahead. It's caught Dylan Little out, and Craig Edwards is going to try and go for the move here, but he'll be on the outside coming into the 4-0 Sol. Let's see what Little can do to defend from him. It looks like a fairly textbook defense there, but Brodie McConkey decides to get involved as well, and Hayden Coote, the leader of Silver, is getting in on the action too.
Yeah, I believe so anyway. Hayden Coote was a gold last season, but finished 25th in the standings overall, over 200 points behind silver class winner Alex Stevens. So he might have gone down, but anyway, Craig Edwards on board and in towards turn number 1 is going to be coming for a little here, surely on the way on the outside it is. And oh, look at that switch from the very left-hand side to the right, and Brodie McConkey tries to go through on Little and does. Coote tries to... Oh, no, in contact. Brodie McConkey sent through turn 2 off into the grass, and oh, there's a spin there as well for Daniel Byrne, who's also gone off through turn 2. Drama at the first chicane again. Here comes Colangelo into the void and making up places, not going down the inside though for turn 4 quite for 4th place.
Yeah, Hayden Coote is the one I think Race Control are going to be investigating for that little incident. He was very quick through turn 1 and tried to make a move at turn 2. Unfortunately, McConkey was slowing up on the apex right in front of him, and so they came together as a result. So move on back here. Coote has got Ocean Colangelo for very close company, and we can't forget Colangelo has that 10-second time penalty from qualifying hanging over her head. Young Carter, as are many of the drivers at Team Max Boost, a team of real-life kart racers. Let's see what she can do to find her way past Aiden and stay in touch with the top 3. Eskandari and Ryder are breaking away now, and I'm amazed to see through that final sector how close they run to the wall. I wouldn't even think about going beyond that curb in a regular car, but evidently these guys are fine with it.
Even in these open wheelers, as Colangelo takes the rather easy pass down the inside, it's not going to be too difficult, really, is it? Getting in the slipstream there and just drafting away into 4th place. And Hayden Coote's going to let that one happen. Watson versus Little into turn number 1. Then Little will continue side by side, and indeed it will be Little who gets through into 6th position. Watson next, and then next in line is Mitchell Campbell, another Synergy Sim Racing driver who's in 8th place at the moment, on the way down towards turn 4, more side by side. Watson trying to dispatch of Little if possible, quite close on the way through the right-hander at turn 5, and still there on the inside line. No contact, good racing between the two, but now it gets dangerous where they get to the middle sector, and you just wonder who's going to back out here, and it's going to be Watson who makes that single file.
Yeah, and it looks like Dylan Little was making good use of the fact that if you're on the outside on the exit of a corner, you can get on the power earlier, but he's run a bit deep then in the S's. He would have picked up, at the very least, an off-track 1X, maybe a slowdown, depending on the severity of that cut, but it doesn't seem to have hurt him too much. So he will stay ahead by about half a second as they enter the stadium section. Now Jackie Chung is starting to make an influence at the back of this pack, driving that retro BMW Williams livery. It feels so weird calling it a retro livery, but it is indeed quite old at this point. I'll probably have to go out and grab a walking frame after this broadcast. But Jackie Chung is one of many drivers who's having an all right run of things, up 6 places thus far.
You know, it's not that old because I remember it, so, you know, it's...
Of course.
It's fine.
2005 was the last time we saw it, 20 years ago. You're welcome.
Is it not? I mean, it's kind of similar to the livery they used to run in like 2009, something like that. Or is that too late?
Yeah, roughly, you know, same sort of general shade of blue, but yeah, missing the BMW flourishes on the nose cone. Oh, it's an era past, unfortunately. We should talk about the here and now as this battle is continuing on. Jackie now coming under pressure from Tom Donoghue, as you mentioned before. You and first car to come into the pits as our league administrator, and he's starting to make tracks.
He's up to 10th now. Only a few places made since the restart, admittedly. I thought he'd make more than that, but he's coming up against better and better drivers as he moves up through the field. We do have the notifications at the top, by the way. I clearly just was blind earlier when they were coming up, because it's a 10-second penalty for Mitchell Campbell for the lap 1 incident, racing rules, and that is the first race penalty of the season for an incident protested by Ryan Borg. I would imagine, yeah, Campbell, if I'm remembering correctly, was the one who got into the back of Borg and spun him around, and didn't directly, but I think indirectly caused the whole schmozzle out of turn 3.
Yeah, it seems that way. I couldn't help but notice Jackie Chung was almost grazing the wall through the final corner there. He was trying to maximize the exit, but it won't save him from an attack here from Tom Donoghue in the slipstream. But have a look at that. He's hit the metaphorical brick wall there as Tom Donoghue. He'll have to be the last of the late breakers into turn 1. Nicely done, actually. Worked out to be a good move.
And so up to 9th position in this... well, the highest placed group, actually, with Watson and Little at the front. Are they going to go side by side again? It looks like they may do. Nope, Watson's not close enough this time in towards turn number 4. I don't know if it's just me, but does iRacing simulate the altitude of this circuit? Because it feels to me as if the slipstream is not quite as powerful as it normally is, and that would be an effect of that as this is another group in towards turn number 4. Maybe I'm just, you know, imagining things because we're at this circuit that is normally so air thin, but it seems to me like the slipstream's not quite working as normal.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the cars or what, but I am fairly certain that iRacing does simulate air pressure from altitude. Otherwise, why would they note it? I also remember that it's come up in the past when talking about Interlagos, another circuit that is quite high above sea level. In ages past, and actually still fairly recently, when they're racing GT3s at Interlagos, the turbo cars are a little bit faster because forced induction performs better in thinner air.
Yeah, it's just over 700 metres in the air into Lagos, which race control. iRacing does simulate the altitude from testing, so there you go. I'm not imagining things. I'm pleased about that, actually. Otherwise, I'd be going mad. Anyway, up into 8th place for Tom Donoghue. This is a replay, meantime, of reigning champion Mark Hilly. Haven't seen much of these guys since they restarted, but Mark Hilly, the reigning champion, is in the wall down at the final corner. He's got damage, and he's had to come in for the second time in just 11 laps.
Well, if you're going to put it in the wall anywhere, out of the final corner is probably the best place to do it because pit entry is right there. But that's a huge blow for our reigning series champion. He'll miss out on points for sure in this first round. Have to wait and see what else he can make from this race. The time has been ticking the whole time through the 2 safety car periods we've had. We are almost halfway through, and Sebastian Eskandari has broken away in the lead. He's now nearly 2.5 seconds in front of Kane Ryder.
Yeah, this is looking very similar now to that recruitment series race. Oh, sort of similar. The gap is not too dissimilar at the moment, but the situation very different, with stops already having happened for some of them. Well, if Eskandari is going to do one stop and the others will as well, then he's not necessarily as far in the lead as it looks. But at the moment, he certainly does have more than 2 seconds. Car 62 with a penalty, 5-second time penalty. Rather hilariously, there is no car 62, so I'm not sure who's going to be given that penalty, but at least there is no on the entry list. Matthew Vince is car 62 in this session, in this server, but there's no car 62 in the entry list, so that's an interesting one. 5-second time penalty for him anyway.
Yeah, so I have to keep a close eye on that for future rounds and sort that out. Some cloud coming over the circuit here in the first sector. I can tell you that turns 1, 2, and 3 are in sunshine at the moment, but these variations in sunlight will probably be crucial to managing the tires. It can be very easy at a circuit like this to overheat the tires, especially through this high-speed S section. But all the same, that's a move. And Matt Tesoriero has to give that one up to Jay Dixon, with Madeline McGee starting to jet away from them and catch up to the pack in front. This fight goes all the way from 20th down to 27th. Scott Bartine just bringing up the rear of this train.
Yep. As more penalties starting to come through here very quickly. Aidan Coote with a 20-second time penalty for contact with Brodie McConkey. So that was the incident at turn 3, or turn 2, sorry, just into turn 2 earlier, where McConkey ended up on the outside of the circuit, rather shovelled out there by Aidan Coote, who's got now a 20-second penalty. That's going to be very severe, and going to drop him a long way down, even if we do stay green for the next half an hour and more, which we still have left in this race. Aidan Coote there is currently going to drop all the way outside the top 15. Of course, that will change as the day goes on, but nevertheless, it will be pretty hurtful. This is Tom Donahue defending from Dylan Little, who he's not long overtaken, and indeed consolidates 6th position. Goes a little bit deep there, but he's all right. Oh no, and he spins. He's going to get hit by Little as well. Tom Donahue, the leader of those who stopped already. He was in great position here, but he's spun around, and he's got damage now as well on the rear end of that car. That is a great run for Donahue, coming to a very abrupt end, just short of halfway.
Yeah, too much curb at the right hand there, unsettled the car. You could almost see it pogoing as he spun around. Alexei Watson got involved as well. He was right behind those guys, and Jackie Chung had to take to the runoff area to avoid all of that. There's Watson, and look out for the BMW Williams F1 livery. That was Chung just making some big darts to the wall to avoid the worst of that. But dear oh dear, it seems that no one is immune from mistakes here. It's such a brutal circuit.
I wonder if we can see that again from Little's point of view, who, by the way, has got a meatballers coming into pit lane, because I'm not so I can't work out whether there was contact or not. I don't know if it's obvious to you from the camera angles we've seen so far, but I can't work out whether there might have been contact to instigate the spin or whether there was contact afterwards because of the spin here. Let's try and see if we can see here. No, it does look like Donahue goes on his own, doesn't it?
Yeah, he just took a bit too much out of the apex there, and it's so difficult to judge, because you just come out of that super tight left-hander, and then you've got to unwind the steering and bring it all the way back around in the other direction for the next corner. Basically, it's a matter of a fraction of a second too early or too late, and you're done. That's how you're supposed to take it, with a little bit less curb there. Move made further back, but I'm very quickly finding out just how brutal this racetrack can be if you're not entirely familiar with everything. And even if you are, it can still find a way to bite you.
So just 1 minute away from half distance, and Sebastian Eskandari is leading this race, completing lap 15, but I expect to see a flurry of pit stops in the next few moments. The top 7 have yet to come into pit lane just yet, and so and lots of others but further behind that. Douglas Gowan's now the best of those who has not stopped yet, but they are well in the window of being able to one-stop this race. As we were alluding to earlier, you've got to make it to at least lap 14, and they all have. This is lap 15, where Mitchell Campbell's coming in, a lot of the others going even further than that. So this is a one-stop race for everybody from here, and that's why, you know, it's not Douglas Gowan's in the lead. We're not talking about a net race leader. We're just talking about the first driver to have pitted. He will go a long way and a lot further than the others on fuel, which might allow him to get some clean air and some positions picked off. But Eskandari is the legitimate leader of this race, as far as I can see.
Yeah, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. The problem with pitting right now is you run the risk of maybe burning too much fuel on your way to the end. Yes, you could potentially undercut those in front of you, but you have to balance that against how much fuel can I actually, or how much efficiency can I really wring out of that tank. I think the safe move, which is what I presume Eskandari and Ryder and company are doing, is just to extend this out as much as you can, basically run the tank dry and come into the pits as late as possible. Have a look at that. There was a big dive there from Texera, but Vince will stay ahead for the moment. That little bit of side-by-side starting to bring Madeline McGee and Alexei Williams right into the fold. These guys battling just outside the top 15, and looks like just like that, Madeline McGee is right there, but there's nowhere to pass in this twisting section. Meanwhile, Eskandari has come into the pits, and it looks like Ryder's followed him in.
Surprised actually that not everybody's in. Craig Edwards, Coachy Colangelo still going, having not stopped so far this afternoon. Eskandari already out of the pit lane and back out onto the circuit again. Douglas Gowan's though in front of Eskandari by only a couple of seconds. Not a big time loss through here, not the biggest pit lane in the world, and short pit stops of course in these Super Formula lights, as we know. Not very big fuel fields. As this group comes onto the front straight, they're going to meet quite a lot of drivers coming out of the pit lane here. Well, what's going to happen here? The guys who are coming out the pit lane going to get smoked, of course, with the extra speed that the guys on the front straight are already. So Vince will be leader of the group. McGee's going to follow. We go to Costa Texera as well, followed through. Alexei Watson right in the middle of this then, ahead of Dixon, then De Bono as well, who's back in this group after his spin earlier. Williams, Chung and Tristan McLaren in this group as well. So very, very big group created by these pit stops now.
And now it's a battle of those who have just come out and those who have yet to pit. McGee hasn't come in yet, neither has Ash Williams. So they're the outliers here along with Matthew Vince. Bad news for Kane Ryder. I was monitoring the pit stops for the Max Boost Top 2, and unfortunately Ryder overshot his pit box, so he might potentially lose second place, especially if Craig Edwards and Ocean Colangelo can nail their pit stops. They are in the lane right now. Oh,
and another spin. Watson goes this time. I thought it was De Bono. I said another spin. It's his first one for Alexei Watson, but he was one of the top running silvers in the early part of this race, and so drops all the way down, and that's going to be a lot of class positions as well lost as they come through the stadium section again now. Eskandari only 1.6 in front of Danny Davison, by the way, who is still yet to make a second pit stop of the day, I would believe. Angus Milne as well goes past Craig Edwards for fourth position. Edwards not the leader in the silver class. That will go to Anthony Bate, who's currently in 10th place, but he would have to stop again, I think. Yeah, he would, because he's pitted last on lap 1. Aidan Coote just 2 seconds behind him. Is probably a more realistic leader there. This is Thomas Hinds, who got caught up in the lap 1 crash, by the way, and that's why he pitted, and he's now in the top 10.
Hinsey had the most adventurous ride through that incident, I'd imagine. Briefly became airborne on his way to being dead center in the pile-up. But worth pointing out that Hins was one of the drivers who pitted right away, or at least towed back to pit lane. He may still owe us a pit stop. We have to think about that for Danny Davison and Angus Milne as well. They both pitted very early on in the race. Davison, I believe, pitting under the second safety car, or was it the first?
The second one. The second.
Yeah, so there's a chance that Davison might have to come back in for a splash and dash, and he'll be hoping for a third safety car to allow him to do that without losing too much time. For the moment, he does run effective second behind Sebastian Eskandari. Meanwhile, Craig Edwards has come out in fourth place, and he's got Angus Milne ahead of him, who again is one of the drivers that had to come into the pits in the first couple of laps of the race. Edwards has the slipstream, and he will have the move into the first turn. There's our effective top two, running second and third right now, and Edwards does it as easy as you like into turn one.
And if you're wondering who the other one is, by the way, because it's not Kane Ryder who's directly behind them, it's Jackson Rihanna who's next in line. Second place in the championship last season, but 3 laps down tonight, down in 37th, 38th even in the field, unfortunately. So he's continuing on to try and get some points, but I don't think he's going to get any as things stand, which is not ideal at all for Jackson Rihanna. Having said that, reigning champion Mark Hillier isn't going to get loads either. He's down in 22nd, and I think he's going to go to the end of the race on that tanker field, though he did last pit lap 11. It's not that long ago, or might be too far even to go to the end. But anyway, now Matthew Vince is off into the grass through the I don't want to call it a stadium section as well, but it's a very similar layout through turn 4 and 5. It's from this crazy group we've been seeing from time to time. It's a very, very large group of battling drivers in the midfield, sort of towards the back as well. It's madness back here, and an attempt at an overtake through the S's. And in the end, Chung has to go across the corner there and cut the course.
Yeah, and Dylan DeBono has to arrest his momentum to avoid getting into him. That brings Tristan McLaren into the fold, but oh, that is way too late on the brakes there for Tristan McLaren, and he nearly completely loses the car on the way into the braking zone. That could have been an incredible incident, but the good car control has to be said from one of the first drivers to come into the pits in this race from damage. Meanwhile, Matthew Vince, this is how he unfortunately lost a few places, a solo spin. And
well, was he hit from behind? It's impossible to. Yeah, he's got a meatball now. So I wonder whether he was hit after or during that. Let's see.
Oh, he was hit.
Bang! There you go. Not sure who that was, but just trying to take advantage there of sort of a side-by-side going on in front. I'm not sure really whether you put that on the car in front to say, well, you should have been looking for the guy coming down your inside, or whether that's a too late of a move to warrant, you know, space on the inside like that.
Yeah, I think you also have to think about like how close the corners are together. Like we just saw them go through them just then. You know, it comes up on you way quicker than you think. It's basically one single chicane, but the corners are spaced out just far enough. Oh, hello. We have another safety car that's come out, and I think this is exactly what drivers like Danny Davison and Doug Gowans were hoping for.
Giuliano Sinese seems to be the driver who's stopped. Or at least you might be going back again now, but he seemed to be dropping down. I wonder whether he's involved or whether that's completely unrelated. It might be actually completely unrelated, actually, looking at this. There we go. Goes for a spin, and takes him a while to get back going again because he's in the middle of the road. But oh, and they're going either side of him. Hello. Dear me, it's like a choreographed dance routine there, but anyway, they get around him, and Sinese gets back on circuit. I don't think that was it.
No, I think I found the cause. Chris Little is stopped the other way round at pit entry. Doug Gowans, meanwhile, spinning, and I think Little is going to come up on him. Oh, hello. So that was interesting. Yeah, okay. This was after the safety car came out. You can't see him. You could just see his tire there beyond the wall. But Chris Little is stopped at pit entry. I think that might be what's brought out the safety car.
Okay. So we'll try and investigate that here. Oh yeah, we haven't actually got any cameras to find him. He's completely hidden at the moment. Where is he? We'll go through all of them we've got, but oh, there we go. Ah, yes, he is. Stops a pit entry. That's amazing, isn't it? One of the only places on the circuit where you can't find them with a TV camera.
He was in a blind spot.
Completely. I mean, good job Race Control are paying more attention than we are, because they wouldn't have seen the stopped car on the inside at the final corner there. That's amazing. I've never seen that before. A place on a circuit that's not reachable by any of the TV cameras. But there you go. We'll try and see if there is a replay of what happened to Chris Little, who is now down onto, well, sort of down onto pit lane. He'll be towing back to pit lane shortly, though. And he's now out of the points, by the way. Top 35 getting points in this series. So the last of them who needed to pit, I would imagine, just pitted there. And so the field must be cleansed now. Although, having said that, Angus Milne, who pitted on lap 1, has still not come in, which must be a mistake.
Yeah, surely. It has to be. Milne currently sitting in that third position overall. Danny Davison has taken the opportunity to go straight into the pits there. Obviously the car spinning in front of him as he immediately decided to go for it, and he's managed to slot back into 7th place overall, which, you know, it certainly could be worse for Danny Davison, considering that if the safety car hadn't come out, he would have been way off.
He's in now, is Angus Milne. This would be terrible for his race. Terrible. He'll come out way down in the field. And that is going to be pretty much last on the lead lap for Angus Milne, I'm afraid, as he pits the second time round. Same for Tristan McLaren, who's also done the same here. So everybody can make it to the end officially. Those are the only two I had question marks about, but now they can make it, but they're just a very long way down. Eskandari then is going to bring them back to the green with the lead. And then there's so many others around who can take a result out of this one. Edwards, Ryder, Colangelo, Davison, De Bono, Gowans, Chung, Campbell, the top 10. But Eskandari has looked pretty strong so far, but then again, I don't think he's going to be challenged, or has been challenged as much as he's going to be on this restart.
Yeah, I think this is going to be the last opportunity that anyone's going to have to really bring it to Sebastian Eskandari there. I've gone back and taken a look at what caused the spin for Chris Little, and it looks like just a coming together with two other cars. So he was coming through the last corner with Jake Robillard in front of him, and Jake, incidentally, was the one who brought out the second safety car of the race. But Robillard locked up and went wide, and it seems that Little was trying to avoid him, and in the midst of turning right to avoid him, went into Alexei Watson, who didn't really have time to react, and Watson ended up spinning Little around from that. So if you're curious about why we are under safety car conditions at the moment, that is the reason why. Good news though, Chris Little has managed to get back out onto the circuit, so he will see the checkered flag at the end of this race.
Well, that's good news for him, as the safety car will indeed come into the pit lane at the end of this lap. It is how many on the lead lap now? I think 35 still on the lead lap at the moment. Chris Little back on the circuit, as you say, but he is 2 down at the moment. Others who are still out there only include Jackson Rihanna. I think he's still trying to go for points, but that could be quite difficult to achieve now. As I said earlier, only the top 35 receive points in this series. Never really been a problem at only 35, but tonight there are going to be some that miss out, such as the massive entry we've had here for the Player1 Sim Gear Super Formula Lights Championship, supported by Everything Simulated, the opening round of this season. And Eskandari is going to have another restart, his third of the day. Didn't qualify on pole, but has restarted from the front twice. And Edwards will hope to be a bit more attentive than what we've seen in the past from the others who have been in second place. Edwards is closer through the stadium section here. Wonder whether Eskandari is going to shake it up by going somewhere different this time, or whether he's going to just go for the final corner again. Edwards almost pushing him here. And he goes wide. There's Eskandari, and he just does something a little bit different to try and throw them all off. But Edwards, paying much more attention this time, is going to be right in there, I think, and challenging for the race lead on the way down towards turn number 1. Green flag again with just over 16 minutes to go in the season opener, and it should be green to the end from here as Eskandari brings them back to that green flag, and it's Edwards who's in his slipstream. He's closing in quickest. He's close for the lead as well, but he's not close enough down in towards turn 1 this time.
Meanwhile, move for 4th, Kane Ryder and Ocean Colangelo bringing up the rear of the fight, and Aiden Coote trying his best to get amongst it as Edwards and Eskandari now break away a little from Kane Ryder just behind them. The drama is continuing for Aiden Coote. He's got Danny Davison up his inside as Edwards almost gets into the back of Eskandari. We're going to be seeing plenty of big moves here in the final few laps, but I'm wondering if that's Craig Edwards' chance gone. Now he's got Kane.
Oh, no!
Oh my God! Eskandari around!
Can you believe that? Eskandari, who's led almost every lap of this race, has spun in an unforced error out of turn 6. An unforced error for sure. He's down to 7th. He'll be absolutely furious with himself. But as the tyres slightly cool through the safety car, I wonder whether it's caught him out. And Edwards now leads this race. We've got a completely different race on our hands now. Edwards defends the inside into the stadium section. Kane Ryder tries to go around the outside. He's not going to manage it there. His Max Boost teammate, Ocean Colangelo, here is right there as well. This is a different battle for the lead now as Eskandari throws it away out of turn 6.
Wow, yeah, that just goes to show no one is safe at this track. It's one of the newest road courses on the iRacing service, and they've all been practicing hard, but new tracks tend to bite pretty hard. Edwards is going to lose the lead here as Kane Ryder goes sailing past in the slipstream, and now the team games can begin again. Now, Mr. Edwards is in a Team Max Boost sandwich.
And is he going to be suffering from that, or is he going to break out of it as soon as possible here? He's got a very good run out of turn 3 there for maybe a move at turn 4. We'll see whether he can manage it. There's been all sorts of incidents happening further back, by the way, that we'll try and look at in a moment. But the battle for the lead in towards turn 4. Ryder keeps in contact with Edwards. Here comes Colangelo now on the outside through turn 5. She switched back to the inside in time for turn 6. Oh, there's not quite going to be a chance. Not quite this time. And Edwards stays in front in 2nd place. DeBono, meantime, has got a meatball flag. That was after contact with Danny Davison, by the way, who is he's dropped out a little bit to 9th place, and there was also some spins on the opening lap as well. Douglas Gowan's now dropping through the field as well on this lap. All sorts happening further down the field. This is how we've got a meatball flag further down for DeBono. It's contact with Davison as it just tightens through 2 and 3 there.
Yeah, I saw a wing flying off in the background of the shot when we were live, and I wondered who that was. It was evidently DeBono's wing that came a cropper there. So that's not ideal for Davison or DeBono, both very accomplished and quick drivers themselves, but they won't have a chance to take the top step here today. 13 minutes remain on the race timer. And Kane Ryder has done a pretty good job of breaking away. Meanwhile, we see that Eskandari is all alone in 5th place at the moment. Doesn't stand much of a chance of being caught by those behind. He didn't damage the car when he spun it, but he's going to have to put a lot of work in to try and get back onto the podium, let alone the top 4.
The fact he's not too far away will just help him out here, and I think he's got a decent chance of getting his podium back, to be honest, but let's wait and see here. Aiden Coote is having a very good race indeed, by the way. Kind of race that would see him still in gold if he had managed it last season, but at the moment he's in 4th place and leading the silver class. Just, as I say, after a 25th place finish in the last season of the Super Formula Lights Championship here at FDL. So, very good run indeed, although that's slightly offline. And as we were talking about earlier, if you get one wrong, you get them all wrong. Campbell, Liddell and Hinz battle the way through the middle sector as well. So, This is another group in the field, but these guys are too far away. I think we're looking at front five now, aren't we, really, for the race win here. These guys too far away, and there goes a spin for Little and Campbell, who hit each other into the stadium section, and now they've crashed into the outside tyre wall.
Yeah, they have. Campbell gets it going again, but many drivers taking advantage of that, including Mark Healy and Madeline McGee, who moved through, both of them, almost a synchronized slide. Contact in the wall there for, I believe that was Campbell. But it looks like no one else really gets involved in that, which is good to see. Could have been a big incident, given how tight the confines are there in the stadium.
So close for 8th place, by the way, a little bit further back in the massive group, further back than that as well. So much to try and keep an eye on at the moment, with just over 10 minutes remaining. Kane Ryder currently leading this race. This is that group I was talking about through the first chicane. Madeline McGee leads the group. Watson just slips in front of Dylan Little, who's now going to be challenged by Mark Healy, the reigning champion, involved in this, looking to limit the damage tonight after what's been a subpar day by his standards. Round the outside through the first part, inside at the second. That's a nicely worked move, and he's going to be into the top 10 as a result of it, is he? In towards turn 6, he certainly will. He is trying to rescue a top 10 at the moment, which is so important for his championship. It's still not done yet. Into the middle sector, he's on the outside for the first part, inside at turn 8, outside at 9. This is still side by side through here. Haven't seen too much of this yet today, and he's gone off as he tries to make the move. He's gone wide, and Little's going to get the run, and Dixon will get the run on both of them as a result of that side by side through the S's.
All right, braking zone into the stadium, and it looks like Healy will successfully defend the position, but he clatters over the curb on the exit. That's far from ideal. Not really the way you want to go about it, but he still stays ahead at a crucial point here on the lap. He's just got to make sure that he gets the power down right. Unfortunately, it seems he's still well within slipstream range of Dylan Little, so there's going to be a pass into turn 1 for sure. Alexei Watson profiting from all of that. Healy and Little, they are on the back foot in this one, and I think they're just hoping that they can stay out of each other's way here in the last 10 minutes. Otherwise, they'll slip even further back. That's super late there from Healy on the brakes. He's going to defend the position at turn 1, which becomes the inside for turn 2, all the way over the curb. I'm amazed that you can actually take that much out of the apex without getting a penalty.
Yeah, I was thinking exactly the same thing, actually, as we've been watching this tonight. They have been, well, cutting the corner, if we're honest.
Yeah.
But they get away with it. It looks like, that's close. Little there gets into the back of Dixon. He's got to be careful that this doesn't snowball completely. But he's down to 12 for the moment. Further up front at the moment, not too much battling going on. You haven't missed anything. Ryder still leads ahead of Edwards, Colangelo and Eskandari, who is now properly in the group. Can Sebastian Eskandari rescue what would be an amazing race win if he could do it from here?
Yeah, I think he'll be very proud if he'll be able to do that. Looks like a black flag's just popped up there for Texera. I believe that might be for the incident limit. Obviously going off track one too many times, but now Eskandari has the slipstream off his teammate, but he doesn't immediately take it. He thinks that it's going to be more profitable to get the slipstream off Edwards, and it seems that Colangelo is going to let him go here into turn 1. We'll have to wait and see on this. Doesn't quite make the gains that we would have expected him to make there in the slipstream, but the trade is done, and ultimately not much time is lost, so that's good for Eskandari. His next target is Craig Edwards.
For coaching Colangelo, who will drop 10 seconds at the end of this race for qualifying impeding, currently dropping her to 8th place. Not much point having her in the middle of the group, I guess, if she's always going to drop out anyway. To the back for the moment as this group again battles for 15th. Donohue's got himself to the front of it now after that spin earlier, and we'll try and get away from it immediately here. Ackland and Gowans now go side by side. Gowans was the first of those who had pitted earlier on in the race, of course, if you remember. When Donohue himself had that spin, they're back together again now as they come down the the straight towards turn 4. It's going to be Gowans to 16th. Ackland will stay 17th. This group's starting to break apart slightly now, but what an amazing bit of battling further down the field. Imagine what this circuit would be like, by the way, if it was at sea level. Madness, but it already is. This is the battle for the lead meantime. 7 minutes to go. Ryder leads, but for how much longer? Eskandari seems to be on a charge.
Yeah, this is a great charge from Sebastian Eskandari, and he's got the slipstream off Craig Edwards pretty much instantly. There is nothing Edwards will be able to do to stymie the run of the former race leader. Well, does he decide to go defensive? Oh, interesting from Eskandari. He took the slipstream to the max there. I thought for a second he was going to make contact with Edwards, but he makes the move into second. He's run a bit deep, though. That offers Edwards a chance for a good run onto the straight to come. That didn't go well for Eskandari.
It certainly didn't go to plan, and I wonder whether this has given Ken Ryder the opportunity to win this race comfortably now. 1.1 seconds. Edwards continues to fight this on the outside, and Eskandari can escape the position. He's just pulled it front on the way towards turn 5, and he does have place now. Does he have the time and speed to catch his teammate, Ken Ryder, who is currently at the front here with 6 minutes to go? This could be difficult, I think. Now that he's lost the slipstream completely, this could be tricky for Eskandari, but he's closed down a 2-second gap to get in this group in the first place, don't forget, so he might well do the same here, and the gap immediately goes below a second. Is he going to rescue this one in the final minutes? It would be amazing, but he's got to do a little bit of catching and then an overtake in the next 6 minutes if he's going to win this race from here.
Yeah, so by my timing, it's showing 4 laps to go when they cross the line next. So keep that number in mind. Can Eskandari make those gains on Ken Ryder and grab the win? Can Craig Edwards keep Ocean Colangelo behind him and prevent a max boost podium lockout for the first round of the new season? This is going to be an interesting fight for sure. No one else really a factor in all of this. But for the moment, it looks like there goes Colangelo. Slipstream was picked up out of the final corner and through at turn 1, but Edwards is a very spirited fighter. I know, he's one of my teammates, so we'll see what he can do to get back past her.
I think I'm surprised actually Colangelo did that, because you'd think she'll want to just keep the pace high and mitigate a penalty as much as possible, but battling away isn't going to do that. Edwards has a brief look down the inside there, but can't actually make the move. So Colangelo is on the podium. It's a max boost 1, 2, 3 as things stand, and maybe that is a side of things to come in this season. It's not the names who were up towards the front last season, particularly like Mark Killy and Jackson Rihanna. Craig Edwards is here. He finished 3rd last season, of course, but the other names like Thomas Hinds, Danny Davison, who rounded out the top 5 last season, they're not in the top 5 here, although Hinds is 6th and just knocking on the door of that position at the moment. A bit further down for Tom Donoghue as well. Angus Milne's a long way down. He was in the top 10 last season. Dylan De Bono's had his fair share of problems today. It is a very, very different look to the front of this field as they come into the final corners again. 3 laps to go for Ken Ryder, but can he hold this lead over Sebastian Eskandari, who is closing here in the final laps?
Let's see what the lap times are like here. 1:35.5 for Ken Ryder and a 35.3 for Sebastian Eskandari. Just enough to bring him into a whisper of slipstream range. We talked about the drivers who lost out in this first round, but how about the big gainers? I'm seeing Jay Dixon rounding out the top 10 with 22 positions gained. That's frankly insane. I don't think I've seen a charge up the field like that from anyone in a long time.
It's impressive. It's good to see who manages to get first, and such a Dixon of that is currently 3rd in the silver class with this performance, and I play for that. I think I thought it was just the yellow player next to his and loses the lead to Ryan Borg. So he lost quite a lot of time there. He must have done, as they battle away for 6 players now. This battle, by the way, will allow Angelo to get 6 if they let it get too far out of hand, but it looks and still
yeah, well, we'll see if Dixon will be able to hold on to all of that. Looks like the top 4 is fragmented now. into two sort of subgroups. Ryder and Eskandari now only half a second apart. Colangelo and Edwards around about the same. So as we come round to start the penultimate lap of this race, I think it's a very strong possibility that Sebastian Eskandari can take victory from here. They'll only have 2 more circuits of this track to go. He doesn't seem to be hunting too hard for the slipstream, though. He was sort of staying out of it for the first part of the front straight there. Let's see how much of a gain he makes under brakes. Oh yeah, you can see him just decreasing the distance there, and a slight lock-up from Kane Ryder. He's not entirely bulletproof out in front, and Eskandari made huge gains in turns 1, 2, and 3. Now he's got the slipstream down towards the twisties.
Is he going to have a chance on the penultimate lap, or is he going to leave it for the final one? I suspected he was leaving it, actually, and he has done. He leaves it for the last lap, down in towards turn number 4. Eskandari decides to stay behind for the moment, and Kane Ryder is going to have some defending to do on this last lap. Will Eskandari pass him, or will Ryder be able to hold on? And how hard will the teammates fight?
That is the question. Doesn't seem to be any team orders at max boost, so I'm sure they'll give us a good show. But this onboard view just really shows how easy it is to push too hard in that S's section. Fortunately, Eskandari's car seems to have quite a bit of bite, so he is able to hold on through that section, and he's being very aggressive with the curbs as well. Something that's really struck me about these Super Formula lights. This is the first real broadcast that I've done with these cars. They can really take a beating over those curbs. Let's see how much they take here on the final lap. Ewan, white flag is out.
Just less than 30 seconds remaining. We will get a 33rd lap in here tonight at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, the opening round from Mexico, and it's going to be Eskandari who takes the lead on the last lap here. The teammates battling it out. Sebastian Eskandari, who's led for so long tonight, spinning out of turn 6, seemingly throwing the race win away, but on the very last lap he takes the lead again down in towards turn number 1. Will Ryder respond into 4, or will Eskandari just have the traction here to get away? He hasn't got the run down towards 4. Ryder's going to get a gain there on him down in towards turn 4. Will he make the pass here, Kane Ryder? Will he make a lunge? He looks to the outside, he can't do it. Oh, Eskandari goes wide though. He's been put off slightly into 4, and Ryder's going to have the run out of 5, and he's going to have to put the pressure on now through the middle sector.
All right, now it's crunch time. Now you have to nail every single turn-in point, and don't be too spirited on the throttle. You will induce understeer. Use the curbs to your advantage, but don't go beyond them. It's a good line through the opening section here for Eskandari. He's nailed every single apex. Runs a bit deep, though, and across the curb there. That's another off-track picked up, but I don't think it's going to be enough to give Ryder the lead back. Now they've just got the stadium section to go, and there's a few more pitfalls here.
Into the slowest corner through the stadium section, through turn 13 and out the other side into the final turn. After all the trials and tribulations of the day, Sebastian Eskandari is going to win the opening round in Mexico by just 6/10 of a second in the end, ahead of his teammate Kane Ryder. Colangelo completes the max boost 1, 2, 3 on the road, but it's not going to end like that, as she has a penalty. Ryan Borg, meantime, is going to win in the silver class, holding off Aiden Coote, who led for most of that race as well. 2 drivers who led for most had lost the lead in the final 10 minutes or so. Eskandari won it back, Aiden Coote did not, and Ryan Borg wins in the silver class from 6th position. But you'd have to say in the end, the deserved driver won it. Sebastian Eskandari, he did have the most speed throughout the day, but the route he took to victory was certainly not the textbook one.
No, certainly wasn't. More cars coming across the line there, with Chung finishing down in 23rd place after all of that. And it looks like Jay Dixon is falling down the order as well. Maybe he ran out of fuel. Okay, that's Mark Healy that's missing his front nose cone for some reason. So we missed that on the final lap. Plenty of drama from lights to flag, it seems. Healy with a mechanical black flag. So our reigning champion has had his season get off to just about the worst start possible.
I mean, That won't be a good sign because I don't know if you're aware. Well, I think I've mentioned this many times before, and Scott Bartine is probably annoyed of me saying it, but he had a terrible championship defence last season. I hope that the curse of the reigning champion does not continue, and we can start to call it a recognised thing, because. Yeah, that would be bad news. Bartine finished 11th eventually. He did actually get himself together, but the start of the season was absolutely terrible, and he was out of the championship before the end of the first 2 rounds. Really, it was rather remarkable. But either way, that is the end of the first round, and it is Sebastian Etskandari who wins tonight ahead of Kane Ryder with that last lap pass down towards turn 1. Ocean Colangelo is on the podium on the circuit. But and may well protest the penalty, I suppose, at the end, but will drop down with that penalty to 6th place as things stand. So moving up, Craig Edwards, Thomas Inns and Ryan Borg, who wins in the silver class. Oh, sorry, Borg won't move up, so it'll be 5th place, won't it, for Colangelo? Only a couple of places lost. But Borg wins in the AM class. Ahead of Aidan Coote. Madeline McGee, Dylan Little and Scott Bartine round out the top 10. Alexi Watson just behind that with Tom Don, who's still in the same group. So was Doug Gowans. Alex Stevens, Juliana Sinese round out the top 15 with Dan Ackland in 16th place, heading the next group, which had Mitchell Albert, Angus Milne in it. Anthony Bate and Dave Davison round out the top 20. Another top runner from earlier, making a slightly misguided pit stop under one of the safety cars, put him a long way back, and he never recovered. Tristan McLaren finishes 21st, ahead of Jackie Chung, with Daniel Byrne a few seconds further back. Matt Tesorero is 24th, ahead of Nathan Verney, rounding up top 25. Mark Healy, reigning champion, starting badly in 26th. Over a minute back for Chris Swaddling. Dennis Hawkins was as well. Miguel Costa Tuxera and Ash Williams round out those on the lead lap. Jay Dixon ended up retiring, or indeed towing on the last lap. Real shame for him. He was the biggest mover forward up until that point. Mitchell Campbell, Matthew Vince, Chris Little, Jackson Rihanna all got to the finish as well, although 2 laps down in the end. Rihanna did, or was indeed, rewarded for his perseverance. He will score a singular point. Dylan De Bono won't score any points, so neither will Brody McConkey, Vaughan Ryder, David Gallo, Todd Parks, or... that's it, actually, I think. In the field, there's nobody else below that. But none of those guys scoring points a little bit further down in the field. Let's chat to the silver class winner first then, shall we? Ryan Borg, who finished in 6th place overall and will remain there as well. Ryan, welcome in. Congratulations on the silver class victory here tonight. Tell us about your last laps of the race, because Aidan Coote was leading for most of it, but you managed to slip past him late on. So how did you manage to do that in the last laps?
I think he had a penalty, so I was just trying to chase into a 20-second gap that he had, because I think he had a 20-second penalty, but he went off through turn 1 and then got a slowdown, so I was just trying to follow the goal driver ahead of me, and he pulled me up and managed to get the move done, so pretty happy with that.
Yeah, of course you did have that penalty anyway, but good to win on the circuit. I mean, what does this do for your season now? How are you looking forward to the next 7 weeks, and what are your aims throughout?
Oh, well, I just hope I can keep this momentum going throughout the season now. So race 1, got the silver win, brought the points home for Player1 Esports, so really happy with that. Yeah, just hope I can keep the momentum going and maybe a silver championship if that's on the cards.
Well, it will be after this one, although it's early days. Congratulations on the first round win, Ryan, and thanks for chatting to us at the end as well.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks so much. That's Ryan Borg, who wins the silver class here tonight. Aidan Coote, by the way, I should just clear up, will finish 14th with that 20-second time penalty. A couple of other penalties I didn't actually mention during the race, I'll just quickly do before I do the other drivers. Mitchell Campbell got a second 5-second penalty, so end up with 15 seconds worth of penalties, and will drop down as a result of all that. Dylan De Bono got 5 seconds, Daniel Byrne got 10, and Dylan Little got 10 as well. So, and there is one more investigation happening at the moment, so we'll bring you up to date with that if it matters for the front guys as well. But let's go to the let's continue going the wrong way up the field, shall we, and go to 3rd place on the road, Ocean Colangelo, who can now join us as well. Ocean, congratulations on a podium on the circuit for this first round of the championship, and thanks for joining us as well. You must be very pleased to be hitting the ground running, if you like, in this season. How was your race tonight at Mexico?
It was a bit of a rough start in qualifying, just couldn't find a lap, and then having 40 cars on the track at the same time was a bit hectic, so picked up a penalty, which was a bit unfortunate, as I managed to do quite well in the race, but overall not too bad. I was probably I thought I was probably gonna finish lower than I did, so.
Even despite a penalty, it should be 5th place, I think, with the penalties applied. Still a top 5 start to the season, but this is a bigger field than what we saw you in last season, the FDL F4 Championship. Nearly 40 or over 40 cars tonight, and will remain somewhere similar throughout the rest of the season, you'd imagine as well. How does that change things as a driver when the field size doubles like this compared to what we saw you in last season?
Well, obviously you've seen what went wrong for me in qualifying. Just didn't get out of the way because cars kept on coming by, so I suppose it can provide more chances for a safety car like it did tonight, with more cars on track and kind of more prone to have crashes and stuff like that.
Yeah, certainly. Well, congrats nevertheless on finishing 3rd on the road tonight, Oisin, and thanks for chatting to us at the end as well.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. That is Oisin Colangelo, 3rd place on the road tonight. Will end up 5th. Craig Edwards should end up on the podium as a result, but I don't think he knows it yet. Maybe he does, but anyway. Kane Ryder finished in 2nd tonight, and he now joins us as well. Kane, welcome in. Congratulations on 2nd place tonight, but how disappointed are you that you couldn't hold on to the win there?
Look, Seb was a lot quicker anyway, so for him to have a spin and then peel back through and take the win, I kind of think he deserved it, to be honest.
Yeah, I understand your viewpoint, and of course your teammates as well. It always helps. How pleased are you, by the way, for Max Boost overall? This is hitting the ground running in the Super Formula Lights better than you could have hoped for.
Yeah, it went pretty perfect for us. The strategy worked out for us and everything. We only had to do the one stop, and so yeah, couldn't have been any better, for sure.
Was it never a consideration under any of the safety cars for you to make a pit stop like some top guys were tempted to do and some did do?
Yeah, look, we had a plan that being the track that it was, very tricky track, it's very easy to get spat on this track and smash into a wall and end up upside down like a lot of people did. So we were thinking that there's a good chance of another safety car, but anyway, we just wanted to leave it for as late as possible and just have clear air, where we thought the guys that pitted early were going to be in traffic, so we're just going to use our pace out front.
Well, congrats Kane on the 2nd place in the opener tonight, and thanks for chatting to us at the end as well.
No worries, guys, good to chat again.
Thanks very much. That's Kane Ryder, who finishes 2nd tonight. And last of all, of course, the main man tonight, Sebastian Eskandari, who has taken the victory in the opening round of the championship. But Seb, welcome in. Congratulations on an extraordinary victory. What was going through your mind when you spun out of turn 6 and it looked like you'd thrown almost all of your hard work away at the end there?
Yeah, thank you guys for having me on tonight. Yeah, that was a bit frightening in that stage, but all I had to do was keep it pointing the right way, which I managed to do and only scraped the wall just. And after that it was fine. I just put my head down and tried to catch the lead group, which I ended up doing.
We haven't seen you in the Super Formula Lights Championship before, but this is a great debut. What are you hoping to achieve from this season? Is this kind of form something we're expecting to see continue throughout this season?
I hope so. I'd like to win most of the races and been fighting for the championship, and we're going to be home for a while, so I think I'll be able to do all the races, so that's going to be interesting, competing in everything, not doing the one-off races like I used to.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we look forward to seeing you for a full season. If hope that we do get you for all 8 rounds. Thanks for chatting to us at the end tonight, Seb, and congratulations again on the race win tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks so much. That's Sebastian Eskandari, who wins the opening round of the Player1 Sim Gear Super Formula Lights Championship, supported by Everything Simulated. Well, the first round of a season, Reece, is always a very interesting ordeal, not least here this time round, because we're at a completely new circuit in iRacing, and maybe that was playing into things a little bit as well. But, I wonder whether 3 safety cars and the sort of manic action we saw at times here tonight is going to be a tone setter for the season, or just a reaction to that newest circuit in iRacing and over 40 cars on the grid for the first time in a season opener.
Yeah, I'm wondering the same, honestly. I was quite taken aback by the amount of chaos that we saw here, but yeah, I think it's just a combination of the track and the format as well. You know, an endurance format round to start off the season. We won't be seeing this kind of format all the way through the championship. It'll be interesting to see what the drivers take to the next rounds of this series, and we are in for a very fun ride indeed.
There is the championship standings. Of course, it's just the race results, but we'll be able to bring you the live championship, well, not live, but after the race, sorry, championship standings at the end of each round, each week. And at the moment shows Sebastian Eskandari at the front of the field. As you say, different formats this season. The Enduro will be coming up a lot later on. Indeed, there you go, race fact from Race Control, which I did know, but I didn't think to say out loud. Three safety cars, the most to say, the most in one race in FDL's history. Hopefully, that is not a record that's beaten, but yeah, it will remain. It remains to be seen, and we will see next week whether it's a reaction to the circuit, the new circuit, or whether it is just what this season is going to be a little bit more like. As I say, the next round, where realistically we could get anywhere near that with another 60-minute race, is at the Bend on the 25th of November. And hopefully you lot are losing the Ashes by then. Anyway, next week is Magny-Cours in a sprint race format. If you thought that tonight was manic, you'd think that next week is something else. It's 15 minutes of a sprint race to begin with, 30 minutes second, and that will be a 2-race evening for the first time of 3. Montreal and Snetterton later on in the year will be the other 2, and there will be feature rounds as well. The week after Magny-Cours next week will be at Donnington Park. Feature race that will be 45 minutes in length. Aragon and Sebring will be the ones after that, alternating throughout the next week's sprint race, then feature race, alternating for the next 6 weeks. So very much hope you can join us for that. I hope you've enjoyed the broadcast tonight. It's been fun to be back again in the Player1 Sim Gear Super Formula Lights Championship, supported by Everything Simulated. Big thanks to everyone for tuning in, of course. Thanks to George Cook behind the cameras. Thanks to Reece Gardner alongside myself, Ewan O'Leary in the commentary box. We'll all be back in 7 days' time from Magny-Cours. Hope you'll join us again for that. But from all of us from Mexico City, it's goodbye for now.